How you doing, YouTube family? Day is Wednesday, August the 6th, 2025. Is your man Big D, and I'm back with another one. Want to thank all you good folk out there in YouTube land for continuing to show support to my son and I. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Well, family, I am back with another video. And in this video, I have some updated news. Well, it's, my updated from me about the shooting that occurred on Fort Stewart, Georgia. And I believe in the last video when I spoke about the angry sister, I believe I said that somebody came on post and basically shot up a couple people. One person died, so I misspoke on the person on and saying that one person died. So luckily no one died, but we had some people, some soldiers that were wounded. But what's more concerning for me is the fact that the person that came on base was a soldier, a sergeant. And man, you know what? That's very, very disappointing for me because not only was his young brother a black dude, but a sergeant, and you crashing out like that. But it's more to this story. But let's go on ahead and see what the news have to say on this.
We continue following breaking news out of South Georgia, where a sergeant is accused of shooting 5 fellow soldiers this morning at Fort Stewart.
We are now getting a first look at the suspected shooter. This is a photo of 28-year-old Cornelius Radford from a previous arrest in Liberty County, Georgia. This from May. Army leaders say other troops tackled Radford after he started shooting. Zach Wilcox is reporting on what else we've learned so far.
So, family, when I did a little bit of research on this young brother, the young sergeant that crashed out, um, so he was 28, 28 basically from Jacksonville, Florida. Uh, Florida, we gotta hold this L. We gotta hold this L. This brother from Jacksonville, Florida, joined the army in 2018. So okay, so once I looked into what possibly led him to crash out in this manner was the fact that he had gotten a DUI. So I guess what happened, he was drinking and driving, he got pulled over off post, he got arrested. But for a lot of times when you get arrested or you get in some type of issue with local law enforcement, when you're a soldier, you're in the military, you can get arrested a lot of times and your chain of command would never know. But the only problem is that eventually they gonna find out, and when they find out that you not only got arrested, but you withheld that information from your chain of command, you didn't let them know that you was arrested, you was involved with some type of incident with local law enforcement. Listen, I can only imagine what type of charges they gonna levy against you via the Uniform Code of Military Justice. I can only imagine. So this young man perhaps was drunk behind the wheel and he got pulled over off post, which you're not supposed to be drinking and driving. And clearly, if you were so intoxicated that local law enforcement got behind you and watched you drive erratically, not staying in your lane, crossing the yellow line. I mean, given all the indicators that you could be potentially under the influence of something. Maybe you are ill, tired. So at that point, they have a duty to pull you over and check on the driver, make sure you're okay. It just so happened you smell like, you know what I'm saying, you been at the club You know what I'm saying? You've been at the gentleman's club throwing them back. Guess what? You know what's gonna happen next. You knew that you had a responsibility to report this incident to your chain of command, and I can assure you he didn't report it because that's gonna be an automatic reduction in rank. So if he's a sergeant E5, he'll be lucky. He will be lucky if he got bust down to a E3 or E2. If not, just kicked. Because a lot of times when you a problem, they boot you out because they view you as a liability. You know what I'm saying?
Today.
We now know the name of the suspect, Sergeant Cornelius Radford, for the shooting that injured 5 people at Fort Stewart behind me here. This is the front gate. I'll step out here as I give you some more of the details that you can look as cars start to matriculate their way back onto the base after it was locked down for several hours earlier this morning and into the early afternoon. We found out from a commander general of the base that Sergeant Radford worked at an annex at the farthest part of the base from where we are now, really way up at the north end, and that the shooting involved where he worked on the base and people that he worked with. However, they would not go into any kind of motive. That's still under investigation at this point. But the 5 injured, we know that 3 were taken. They needed some sort of surgery after the shooting, but all 5 are expected to recover and their families have been notified at this point. And the Commander General gave us an update as to what's going to be going on next.
Sergeant Radford has been interviewed by the Army Criminal Investigation Division and is currently in pretrial confinement, awaiting a charging decision by the Office of the Special Trial Counsel. Right now, our primary focus is first on caring for our injured soldiers and their families, and also supporting the soldiers of the Spartan Brigade.
I asked after the briefing if Sergeant Radford had any injuries from the shooting, and they said that that is unclear at this point. You can see that the front gate here to Fort Stewart has reopened, and all those lockdowns have been lifted. At Fort Stewart, Zach.
So, family, what y'all think? I'm gonna tell you what I think. I think when I look at this brother and I look at his picture, when I look at his picture, what I see is somebody who probably had a rough life, and the military perhaps was his way to get out of a bad situation. But when I see this brother, when I look at him, at first glance, I say, man, this brother look like he probably was a little trouble. You know what I'm saying? And the military was his way to try to get his act together. But oftentimes, when men like this, they leave the hood, they sometimes take that hood mentality with them into the military. And when that happens, it's only a matter of time before the inevitable comes along. Most times, from my experience, from what I saw, guys who brought that, oh, I'm still back on the block mentality, to the military. Listen, they either got demoted. If they was lucky, most got kicked out. Most got kicked out, and I'm like, bro, you in the military, you can't be still smoking weed, getting high, burning. These fools, they'll be using the gas mask that we supposed to use if we go to, you know what I'm saying, simulating the gas mask that we use that for our chemical suits. Like they had suits that you put on, the gas mask and the suit and whatnot, supposed to keep you functional whenever you are in combat, just in case if the enemy use some type of chemical or biological agent. But basically, they would be using the gas mask, and they would be giving each other like they'll be blowing like I forget what it's called, but they'll be like guns. They'll be gunning each other using the gas mask. And I'm like, man, these dudes are idiots. And one thing that I learned was that you want to stay away from people like that because eventually they're gonna crash out. They're gonna crash out eventually. So for this young man, I don't know him, but at first glance, I get, you know what? The military was a means to an end for him to escape whatever he was going through. But for whatever the reason, he could not shake that hood mentality. And somehow, it was just a matter of time before the inevitable. It was either gonna be maybe he crashed out, got into a DUI, maybe killed somebody, or something crazy like this. So there's really no real motive as to what his real motives were, because it seems like it was the people that he actually shot were, I think, his soldiers or whatnot. If I'm just piecing it together, they were his soldiers, and perhaps maybe he was not such a good supervisor. Maybe he was you got a-hole supervisors. I had them when I was in the military. That's why I always tell people, man, when you make rank, don't be rude to people. Be kind. You can still get the job done without being a-hole. But man, you know what I'm saying? You just he look, perhaps he was an a-hole to his soldiers, and now this whole DUI thing perhaps done caught up with him. Now he up under investigation, and at minimum he gonna get an Article 15, and at minimum he gonna get a reduction in rank. So he ain't gonna be no sergeant no more. So perhaps he was an a-hole for a supervisor, and now you ain't gonna be no supervisor no more. You ain't no sergeant no more. You one of us. You not our supervisor. You a peer. Remember all that issue you used to talk? Remember how you used to treat us like crap? Guess what? Now you're gonna have to start over, because there's a process in the military. You go from E1 to E2, E3, E4. Once you make E4, you got to go through a promotional board. Once you pass that, you got to get promotional points. And then, if you're lucky, you might make E5. Yeah, but before you make E5, you gotta go to a leadership school, you know what I'm saying? So you gotta be qualified to make the rank of sergeant, and the same for staff sergeant. So he if he made it to sergeant, he had the he had the wherewithal, but the issue is that you can take you can take the YN out of the hood, but you can't take the hood out of the YN. And it's just a matter of time before they might crash out. They might crash out. And this is the result of it. So no doubt his soldiers know, SARS finna get busted. Oh, not only not only was he an a-hole to us, treat us like crap, you know what I'm saying? Just being nasty to us. And then now to add insult to injury, not now. He ain't no sergeant no more. He one of us now. He's one of us now. So perhaps they was talking crap to him. Maybe they was yeah, uh-huh. Maybe that's what happened. I'm just speculating, you know what I'm saying? Just trying to put it together. But family, the moral of the story is this. There is something going on in this world. You got soldiers, for whatever the reason, you crash out, you want to ruin your career. That's one thing, that's fine. But if you take a chance and you get caught, and now you facing some consequences, man, you can't get mad at folk because they ragging on you. Because that's just how the military is, man. You F up. Some people rag on you, especially if you was an ass and you was nasty to people, especially if you had rank, you was a butthole for a supervisor, man, and you get in trouble and you finna lose some stripes. Oh, that people rag on you. So you can't get mad. That's just what it is. That's why it always pays to be humble, no matter in whatever you do. That could be the military, that could be at your job at the warehouse, that's at your job or whatever you doing. Whenever you grow and advance in that company or whatever career field, you always gotta stay humble. You always gotta stay humble, because there may come a time that you may F up and you may have to take a fall from on high. But if you was humble, people are not nasty to you. You know what I'm saying? They don't rag you out. And once you land, and you know what I'm saying, you F up and you gotta take they reduce you. If you handle it well, you'll go back up in rank. I've seen it personally. I've never experienced it because I've never had rank and then had it taken away and I had to earn it back. Once I earned it, I kept it. I always try to do the right thing. But at the end of the day, I've seen people way up here and they lose it and tumble down and have to start all over. But because they wasn't assholes, they wasn't butt heads, they was humble people. Man, nobody ragged on them. They just understand, man, don't worry about it. You just messed up. Or even if it was a female, like, nah, sis, you know what I'm saying? Everybody elf up, everybody messed up. Just learn from it. But if you was one of them that was a hole, oh man, oh man, no, if you was a hole, nah, man, and you do something stupid that you know better, oh nah, you gonna get it, man. You get busted, oh, you gonna get it. Yeah, you just that's just how it is. That's just how it is, and it's like that in the military, and it's certainly like that in law enforcement. It just is. Just that's just the dynamic of that career field. But family, like I said, it's something afoot. You know, it just something crazy going on. Something is crazy. The world is not doing well. The world is not right, and if this if you need if I mean if how many more examples do we need to see before we say, man, our society is sick. So I ask you again, is it mental health or is it spiritual? Is it demonic? Could it be possessions? Could it be both? Got to be something. It's got to be something to make somebody crash out because they effed up because you effed up and you can't handle it, you get so emotional, you crash out, and now you go and like cursing people out, or you grabbing pistols and going, blazing up your your coworkers. Come on now. I mean, come on. But like I say, when I look at this brother, that's what I see. I see a dude who it could have went either way, military or perhaps old boy on the corner selling some stones. You know what I'm saying? The pike boy. That's what I see him at. It was either that or the military. But unfortunately, it appears that he took that mentality with him to the military. And when you do that, it will cost you dearly. Well, family, always remember be more tomorrow than you were yesterday. Peace.